What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Starchasers Girls Talk Ball. Thank you all for joining us this Wednesday evening. Star, always loving you, having you in the building. How you doing tonight, sis?
What's up? What's up, everybody? Glad to be back. I know we took basically a 2 week. I think it was like 2 week hiatus.
Yeah,
A lot going on in the world, but
yeah,
glad to be back and be back talking to you guys, talking Cowboys football. You know what I'm saying? It's a down year, but we still here. We still here.
yeah. Very much still so here. And before we actually get started to the show, let's shout out everybody coming through in the building. Dak owns Filthy in the building first as usual. Thank you, brother, for being in the building with us. Kelvin Hicks, Kelvin Hicks, excuse me, always in the building as well. JVB boy.
What's up, guys? Glad to see y'all.
Yeah, and also, for one of the first people in our building, lead commander, and I'm sure is a Washington fan who we know who we are going to see this Sunday at I believe it's a 1 o'clock game. Yeah, actually, yeah, 1 o'clock game. That would face you guys this weekend. Very excited for that game. Although we are, Cowboys do have a losing record as we know. Going what week 11 I think it is, sis. Help me out. I think it is.
Week, well, we just got done with week 11, so we're
Oh,
going to this is week 12 now.
okay. Yeah, perfect. So, week 12 opponent, division rival. And I just always love those games. I mean, you never know how they're going to fall, even with a losing record. I mean, we think we talked about a couple of shows ago, Star, where the Cowboys were always kind of the team, not on top, a good winning record. Then here comes, hey, let's call it what it is, a losing team. And, you don't know what to expect from them. But, hey, they can kind of spoil the season for you or, to add another L to that record. So, and then although we do have a losing record, losing season as it stands right now, not mathematically out of it, of course, but as it stands right now, having a losing record, I wouldn't mind, being able to put another blemish on, the Washington Commanders record. So how you feel about that, sis?
Yeah, I think like at this point, like we're just what I call organically taken. So it's basically like your team is so bad and so ravaged with injury that
Right.
it's not gonna win that many games. But you should still try to win. You know what I'm saying? Like you're still trying to win. Like you don't play to lose because like that's just
Right.
the you gotta lose. You gotta tank. Like I said, you gotta tank organically. You can't be doing stuff to intentionally lose because that type of stuff could literally kill your locker room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and frowned upon by by fans, by ex football players, guys who looks at for the game of football for inspiration. I'm saying you don't want especially quote unquote America's team, right? And I did see some talk about that this week, about some of the question, and we saw that weeks prior about some of the guys' effort, on the field, whether they're taking in the new defensive system, things like that. But I mean, in my opinion, I mean maybe because last week was a division rival as well, right? Philly, we always kind of play them tough. And I think no, actually it was a home game. So looking for, of course, still is late in the season that first home win. I think I think we saw some fight this past weekend, and we saw I'll say at least the first half. I'm saying still kind of
yeah, for sure.
staying in
I
it.
agree with that. I think we would for sure have seen fights. I really haven't seen the team give up or quit or anything like that. It's just at this point, like we are just so decimated by injury, and then Dak going down, just really deflating.
Yeah,
Um, And then on top of that, like we just have to accept at this point, like we are the worst team in the league at running the football. We are last in attempts. We are
right.
fifth in yards. We do not have a play caller that really believes in the run game, and I don't know if and this is what's been discussed. Like I honestly feel like Mike McCarthy, like the answers to the test because we gotta listen to you like a broken record after every loss. You're saying, "Oh, we should have run the ball. We gotta have more attempts. Oh, I wish this, oh, and this and that." But at the end of the day, he's not doing none of it. It was hilarious because Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were joking. They were like, we literally talked to Mike before the game, and he was like, "We could not have Cooper Rush passing the ball 40 plus times," and they were like. And we say that Cooper Rush is now on his 50th pass. So I just,
Yeah,
I, I really don't know what's happening, but I will say with Mike McCarthy, I mean, things are coming out. This man put his house on the market in July. Got a new agent. Remember, he got a new agent like right before the season started. Like all of those things just kind of point to I know I'm on my way out of here. Like even more than Dan Quinn. Like Dan Quinn, I mean, he took like coaching interviews, so you knew he was trying to get out. But I feel like Mike McCarthy, like, bro, before the season started, you was already basically planning, packing it up. You were already packing it up. So it's just like I feel like Mike McCarthy. I really do, and I have great respect for Mike McCarthy. I've
Yeah.
championed him over and over and over and over again, and I'm saddened that we could not make it work with him.
Yeah.
Um, at all. But I just think that like he to me, Mike McCarthy is doing more damage being our coach still than just let it go and just walk away. And just like we need to prepare for the future. We need to evaluate these other coaches, evaluate this talent, and
Yeah.
to get a head start. I feel like I'm trying to find the next head coach because right now, like I just like as it's for me. I don't speak for myself, but for me, I'm just at the point where it's like, where's the stem button? Like, I don't really want to hear Mike McCarthy. I don't want to hear
Yeah.
Brian Steinheimer. It's just like everything is just we just need to turn the page and move on to the next chapter. And I feel the energy from the coaches too, just like kind of going out. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's playing, but I mean, really, it's the young ones. You know what I'm saying? But Mike and CD, they playing basically for their individual stats, because they probably got like
Yeah.
incentives and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes.
Like, oh, we're winning the like they have accepted the season for what it is. We should have been a way better football team, but we just got killed by injuries. Like, there's nothing you can really do about that. I don't think any team in the NFL is facing as much injury as we have and continue to face. So yeah, so go ahead.
No, no, I really agree with everything you said, and just to speak on your point about McCarthy, and that was kind of like you said, when the season first started, not just us, but a lot of people were talking about how much it seemed like the team was fighting for McCarthy. We talked about last year when they went to go play Green Bay. They made not a big deal about it, but spoke about what it meant to him. Even this past year, going back to Pennsylvania, in the place itself to play the Steelers, they spoke about how it was important for him to go back home, seeing his family, his family being in the stadium. So and at the end, speaking on that, that was what the last win that we had. I'm saying, as a team, so collectively, well, the last win the Cowboys had. So, to talk about your point about possibly him losing the locker room, I think it's I don't know. I don't know the exact adjective to use because these are grown men, and I don't want to speak for them like I know what they're thinking, but because I don't see it in their mannerism. Like I said, this past week we saw some fight on the field and how they played, but we always kind of question whether these guys really believe in this, because it's a second year of play calling. What I'm saying, but things just never really kind of connected. So
This year, yeah, it just
the
felt like
fans were,
we regressed offensively. It's the weirdest thing. It's
yeah,
a weird like how did we regress?
yeah, with some of the same players, the same head coach, the same essentially some of the same coaching staff. So
I think the only really changes was obviously you made two changes on your offensive line, but like that was pretty much it. And like we regressed like that. Like our offense
significantly, yeah.
was. I mean, we
Yeah,
were
and
last year. This year, we're like,
yeah, and it kind of speaks to your point. I mean, it kind of does make you question, like, did he check out, in the summertime? Because, like you said, we didn't last year. We saw a lot of things creatively. We saw, plans drawn up for Lipke,
yeah,
for Schoonmaker. The guys that he picked that we know that were kind of, I don't want to say close to his heart, but picks that he was involved in, and the guys we didn't expect to see involved in game plans. All of a sudden, you don't game plan for them. They're not even getting targets. They're not being involved.
yeah. It's like under Luke, he's been erased from the game plan for a few weeks, and now he's hurt.
Yeah.
He missed last week, and he's not practicing again, so he probably gonna miss this week.
Yeah.
I just don't really know. I just Mike McCarthy. I'm sorry, but you just can't convince me that you put your all into this year because
Right.
your offense it literally regressed to hell. Like it regressed bad. It just didn't feel like it made you think, what were we doing? What were you doing all off season, Mike? And I guess you preparing them to get out of here because it definitely does not seem like you were working on improving the offense because the offense didn't improve. It got worse, and not just kind of worse. It got like your offense is looking like bottom of the league. All your players regress or look progress stat wise. I'm not saying like Jackson City regress
Right.
physically, but
Yeah.
stat wise, I mean, it was just a joke. It was just like, what is going on? And I get that.
Yeah.
I
And
get
that's right.
you know,
And I mean, we talk about with July. That was what right before training camp. So maybe he looked at the whole debacle of the whole off season, right? Not like you mentioned, not going after free agents. I'm saying letting free agents walk. I'm
nine.
saying you don't sign. Like he's probably looking at, like he said in his presser, like you wait. Like he said and that was a great tweet that you put out. I think it was a week ago, a couple weeks ago, talking about how he wants to plan for his things. Plans for his scheme, his game planning, his roster back in April before the draft. So that way, when you approach the draft, like you said, or like he said, and that you pointed out, best player available is, a great way that he wants to draft. So maybe when he saw the whole debacle of the offseason, I mean, the fans were talking about it. So,
Yeah,
I'm sure he's involved he's literally involved in it. So I'm sure maybe he felt the way like, hey, like if he's not doing all this the things that I need, and that, I mean, Zimmer's getting his guys, so maybe that kind of speaks to maybe he might be able to, hang around here maybe a couple more years, depending on how they decide to re-sign him. But McCarthy's like, I can't get any of the guys, or I mean, I know guys are going down, but I can't even get my QB one and wide receiver one. I can't even game plan for them because they're not even signed well into camp.
they're
So
not
it's
signing
like,
right here. And then the only thing that I critique I have with Mike McCarthy is like, okay, Mike, I appreciate you speaking out now, but you were asked multiple times. Like Mike even did like a sit down interview on like ESPN, but like no, not being Rappaport. It was one of those guys.
oh,
Ian
Eisen, you talking about Eisen?
No, not Eisen. It was one of the main reporters. Not Ian Rappaport, but the other one. That
Schefter?
Schefter. I think Mike McCarthy literally did like an ESPN interview with Adam Schefter. Somebody from ESPN. He did an
Yeah,
interview. And they asked him like, y'all have not done anything. Like, are you not concerned? And he's like, no, I'm not concerned. I'm very happy about. So it's like, Mike, you like I can understand like, okay, Jerry's controlling things and shit like that, but it's like, why are you doing interviews saying that you approved of it? It just didn't make
yeah.
sense. Like you were acting like everything was good, peachy cream, and
Yeah, even the training camp when they brought a running back by committee, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I have this experience in it. Yeah, we can get this done. I'm familiar with everybody in the room."
problem. It was no problem. And all of a sudden
Yeah,
now we're losing. Now you coming out. I didn't want this. I didn't want running back by committee. I wanted
yeah,
my players in there in April. It's like all of this stuff, Mike. But it's like it's like why were you saving face for them when your actions showed that you knew you was out the door anyway.
yeah,
Still saving face for the front office, and then it's like now Mike McCarthy, like, and I was talking to my brother about this. We were like, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm doing everything that I can to win games because I'm like, F you, front office. Like, I'm not about to hand y'all a premium pick next year that I'm not
right,
going to have nothing to do with. But
right.
it's like, Mike McCarthy, the way you calling plays and stuff, it seems like you low key like helping Jerry and them tank and get a premium pick
And
when
not
you won't be here. So it's just weird. I hope
yeah, and
it's weird right now. I don't know.
yeah, and not only that, but it's also reflecting bad on him, right? I mean, like you said, I'm sure you expected, fans expected. Hey, what's up, 100 grand? How you doing? Fans expected him to kind of go out, swinging, right? So, you know, it kind of makes you wonder, what his real intentions are. Like, if you are doing this kind of bad play calling, like, do you really have the team's best interest in mind? And then like, I mean, if he is, I mean, if for all we know, he could be looking to go, retire with his family, right? He talked a lot about his family, being a family guy. He spent like the last 30 plus years in coaching. So maybe for all we know, he could be looking to retire, right? So maybe he's just like, hey, this is my last leg. Let me just,
Maybe that is I don't know. The only thing is he did hire a new agent, which makes me think that like, whew,
yeah,
but the agent could also be not necessarily I'm trying to coach again because Michael McCarthy is 61. So it could be
Yeah,
as well like, you know what, I'm done coaching, but I do wanna see if I can get a broadcasting job or something. I don't know.
that could be. Oh,
Because
I,
right now it's like you're not really gonna be appealing to teams. I could see
yeah,
some teams taking a shot at Mike McCarthy though, because he does have a good pedigree. I
yeah,
know this year was bad, but it's like if they maybe explain like, "Hey, Jerry was controlling everything. I wasn't about to coach. Things weren't done my
yeah,
way." Maybe we can get him another job. I don't
yeah.
know. I
I
just
mean,
know
because
he's got to go from here because it's just a relationship to me between him and Jerry is just broken, and I don't really
yeah,
think it's gonna be repaired. I don't.
yeah. It's not just that, but I think he's kind of because even today I was watching his presser that came out I think a few hours ago, and it's we talk about the media a lot on here, right? And just how how their relationship with like you just spoke about their relationship to Jerry, their relationship to Mike, and some of the other coaches and how they kind of approach things. And even I think it was shout out to Clarence Hill. I love some of the work he does, but asked a question about I think he had asked him about what Dan Quinn and Joe Wood Jr. I think possibly do differently from one year to the next. And he's like, I think just not McCarthy's words, but he kind of said, let's just leave it under wraps for now. Let's leave some things a secret. And then like here comes Todd Archer talking about Jerry's on the radio tomorrow. We'll ask him. And Mike just was like, oh well, hey, I mean, hey, if y'all gonna ask him, it's just like so. And that just to me, in my opinion, just speaking for myself, like you just said, like it just kind of speaks to kind of the underminement a little bit, right? Like Jerry has his hand in, wanting Zeke to play. He kind of he's the first one in the locker room all of a sudden when the team loses. When the team wins, though, you take your time. You want to speak to the media first, and then you head to the locker room. But when they lose, you're the first one marching down the hallway. So it's just like I just kind of feel a way, like about that. It's just like
Jerry is definitely the power dynamics in here are just so weird, and it's every coach that comes here is like it's nothing that any head coach has ever really experienced. I mean, when you
right,
have an owner like Jerry, I mean, people say Jerry is Al Davis 2.0. I'm not familiar with Al Davis, but people said
right,
Al Davis was basically what Jerry was doing. Like
right.
they said, Al Davis used to be calling plays, like, and when you see it, Jerry, he's
Oh
in the
wow,
meetings, he knows the game plan. Um, he's the one going in. The team loses, he's going in there talking to the team and stuff. Like it's just weird, and no one else does that. And it really does leave conflicting. It leaves conflicting authority with your players, and then clearly now you got the media because the media. I mean, they like it because they know
yeah,
these sound bites from Jerry, so they like that that it doesn't matter what you say. Like we can go to Jerry, we can get any
facts,
that we want. It's just
facts, and
situation. It really is like
and do you a shot the sports junkie as well in the building?
what's up,
Do
sports?
you
Good to see you.
Do you think that because I kind of not saying I feel the exact same way about that, but like a couple weeks ago, Michael Parsons spoke about his meetings with Jerry and yeah, Jerry. If I felt like if Jerry had a problem with me, he would just come out and say it. Da, da, da. But then a couple weeks later, yeah, it was like, well, I'd fight for Zach Martin. He's done more work than Mike McCarthy has ever done. So it's like I don't know, like I wonder if like maybe Parsons felt like well I got my relationship with Jerry like maybe he doesn't have that same kind of I don't want to say respect, but maybe doesn't look at Mike McCarthy that way. You know what I'm saying? But he feels comfortable enough to be to ride to the Super Bowl. With Jerry or
And I
spend
mean that's
with
another
Jerry
thing
with him.
too.
You know what I
You
mean?
know what I'm saying? And like with Mike McCarthy, and it's like I know Micah didn't really mean any harm, but even though he didn't mean any harm in what he said, he still basically let it be known like he's not really close with Mike McCarthy like
Right, right,
like I remember at the beginning of the year in training camp, Micah had said that like Mike was trying to be close to him and like they would have private meetings and he was telling him about being a leader and all of this stuff and how he was
right,
putting so much stock into him. But I mean, clearly it didn't work because at the end of the day, Micah never talked about Dan Quinn like that ever, ever.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
all, I love DQ. I love DQ. He's like my uncle. I'm gonna miss him. We just worried about right now. He
right,
would never say DQ can leave and DQ can leave and Zach Martin has worked harder than DQ ever has. He would never say nothing about that.
Right. Facts.
You just don't say stuff like about that. You don't say stuff like that about someone that you really have high respect for. Um,
Right.
it doesn't mean that Micah just don't have no respect for Michael McCarthy.
Right.
It's clear that like you don't have the reverence, the honor that you would have for coaches you really love. You would not speak about a coach that you really honor and reverence.
Exactly.
You would never say nothing like that about him.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, Micah, he wasn't trying to be controversial. He wasn't trying to stir stuff up. But it's like you unfortunately let your feelings out. And there's nothing you can do about it. And to me, Micah really haven't tried to clean it up. I mean, he said that's not what I meant or whatever, but he has to come
Was
out and say, I love Mike McCarthy. I want him to be, or I want him to
right. You know what I'm saying?
be like that. The most he said was like, Mike McCarthy's a good coach. He's a winning. He's one of the most winningest coaches. But that's very like surface. I could Google that. That's not really like this man is
Right.
coaching
Right.
me, and I value how he coaches. So yeah,
Facts.
it's clear that the players there's a disconnect with Mike McCarthy. I think
Yeah.
probably the only player that's close to Mike McCarthy is that.
Facts.
I
Yeah.
think CD has that they just don't talk about Mike in a way that the players are really sold and bought in on the coach how they would talk. Like
Right. I
niggas
agree.
did still talked about Saban to this day because that's how much Nick Saban meant to. Like, boy,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
in 2020 and you still talk about Nick Saban this and how Nick Saban told you this because that's who he honors and respects. They
Yeah.
don't really honor, but they don't speak about Zimmer like that either because they just met him. Like,
Right. Right. Exactly.
I think it's a clear thing that like these players was not really bought in on this coaching thing.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
looks like to me. It just doesn't look like they're bought in. It doesn't look like anybody is really like vouching really for Mike or has a close relationship.
Facts.
Also like just surface stuff like, oh, we like Mike and we have family day and stuff, but no one close to him. And I think that was the main disconnect with Mike McCarthy. It's like you weren't really because I think there was a player that said that like I think it was Will Blackman. He was like when Mike McCarthy was in Green Bay, he was like Mike McCarthy was so big on his leadership council, and he was so dependent on the leadership of his players because he was like close with them. So it's like he would expect his players to be the energy guys on the field and all that stuff. But like
Yeah.
because his players in Green Bay obviously believed in him and played hard for him. But
Yeah.
these players in Dallas, it's just a disconnect. It's
Yeah.
not close. Like it's not close. It's not close,
Yeah.
and that's just not right.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that because, like you said, you could definitely see it in some of their mannerism. Like you said, in some of their interviews, they definitely just don't, like you said, they don't stand up that tall. As I guess I'll say,
Mike,
as for Mike McCarthy. Yeah,
like,
especially with the way the season is going. I mean, us fans, week to week, I'm saying, I hate to say, but kind of question some of the calls that he makes. So, I mean, heck, I just happened to be reading a story earlier about Jamar Chase, and he kind of said something this past week about his coaching. And, they kind of asked him, I think Burrow too, like, when it comes down, you guys play these great games, but these aren't the exact words, you guys. Please don't quote me, but they pretty much asked him, what do you think makes the difference in you guys not winning these games? And Chase was like, well, I can't answer that. That's only coaches. You got to ask Zach about that. And the coach kind of came back. I forget his right name, his last name right there, but the head coach for the Bengals kind of came back and said, "Well, hey, I know players don't." He kind of said like, "Well, I don't know players. He's emotional. I know players don't really mean." But it's kind of just like we're talking about McCarthy. Is like he kind of said something along the same lines when Micah's quote unquote comments came out. About his comments about him. So I could kind of. I don't, like I said, I'm not comparing the two organizations exactly, but it's like when you kind of hear similar responses to similar situations about relationship between coaches and players, I think it kind of speaks a lot, like you said, about belief system. Like the Bengals are playing great ball, but we see the record, right? So we had the players, playing bang out football, Burrow leading this team. Not saying that Burrow and Dak, because Burrow, in my opinion, is playing better this year than Dak was, but it's just kind of like when you have the rallying of the team, but then the question comes, how come you guys aren't winning? And their first answer, and that's not saying it's a slight, but their first answer is the coach as well.
That first
Like you said,
answer
it
is
kind of
like
speaks
talk to
about.
Zach Taylor about that. Talk to Zach Taylor about that. Like I feel like a play when players do that, it's just not good. And I know y'all saying y'all tired of Micah, but I mean, I, and me personally, Michael, you should not have said that. Like even though I know
I,
you didn't mean any harm, like you just shouldn't have said that. And it's
yeah,
like none of these players are having Mike McCarthy's back. None of them.
yeah,
I have not seen one player. The only player that has stand 10 toes down for Mike McCarthy is Dak. That's it. You haven't seen CD. You haven't seen Jalen Colbert. You haven't seen Turpin. You haven't seen Jake Ferguson.
right,
You haven't seen Zach Martin. You haven't seen Tyler Smith. Like none of these players are standing on the table for Mike
yeah.
McCarthy. I have not heard one player say Mike is a damn good coach. We love Mike. We have high respect for Mike. We need to play. I haven't heard it. I
and
haven't.
and that's actually, I think, to your earlier point, Star. I think when you talk about his players on the leadership council, and my first thought in my head when you said that was like, well, yeah, we don't hear about McCarthy, but we hear a lot about the other players that the players look to. Like when you talk about the O line, like when you ask BB these questions over the summertime in the training camp, yeah, I spent time with Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, all the guys in the O line room, right? The same thing with the linebackers. They bring Eric Kendricks on, and everyone's saying, yeah, he's teaching us this. We're learning this. When they brought Brandon Cooks in, and we were surprised that even I think Zeke kind of came out this season and said that he wasn't even on the leadership council. So that
Yep.
speaks to the point. I see that's when you came out with saying that Mike didn't want Zeke Elliott, and so then it comes out that he's not even on the leadership council. So at least to me, it kind of makes a little bit more sense now. But and he even mentioned in his presser, I think this past week, sometime this past week, or I think it was definitely before the Philly game. But he spoke about, hey, a lot of these players on the leadership council are injured, and those are his words. So like when he says that, when they asked him about the team winning or losing, what do you think is making a big difference? One of his answers was, a lot of guys on the leadership council are injured right now, so it's kind of so it's I'm just like to your point, it's just like we're talking about here about where the players looking to, who can they look to? Well, and that can, as we're talking about here, it can link back to coaching style. If the head coach is leaving those responsibilities, and even, I mean, like what I think it was last year when McCarthy was out for his appendix surgery, and they were like, well, and it wasn't a bad thing, but he's like, yeah, it was kind of like, we kind of ran the same as if, even though he wasn't here, because he already delegates those responsibilities to the coaching staff, to those guys on the leadership council, so that way it can run smooth even if he's not there. But it kind of speaks to, okay, so when you are there, what's the difference? Right. So what actual difference is the head coach making when you're delegating? Now, and not saying he shouldn't, but if you're delegating those responsibilities to the players, the
That's
coaching staff, and you're a play caller, so what's really
that was
keeping you from?
too. It's like Mike, you over delegate, and then you put more on your plate by play calling, which further disconnected you from your team that you already wasn't really too connected to, bruh. And it's like
Right.
you drafted these players, Mike, so they should have high respect for you. You drafted
Right.
Mike. So this is not like, oh, this is Jason Garrett's guy. Like with D Law or Zach Martin, you can understand because these aren't my
Right.
guys. But bro, I drafted you. I drafted you, Jalen Tolbert. I drafted you, Jake Ferguson. I drafted
Yeah.
you, Tyler Smith. And these players, like they show no connection emotionally to him at all. And I feel like that ain't good because the coach,
Right.
if you want if you want players to play hard for you, like they kind of have to be bought in and sold on you. And these players just wasn't bought in on this coaching staff at all. And I agree to say if Dion or Belichick was the coach when Micah made those comments, I don't know. To be honest, we would say no, he wouldn't. But it's like
Yeah.
Barry is the boss here, so these players can really say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, just like shout out to Nisi. I don't know if we say hi to you, but just like she just said, at the same time, Star said the owner doesn't respect the head coach. I
So
mean, hell, the media doesn't. Like I mentioned earlier, they said, "Well, Jerry's gonna be on the radio. We can ask him."
don't respect Mike, so why would you expect the players to respect Mike? There's no respect at all. And a lot of people want the Dion, but I'm like, do y'all realize Deion Sanders is who started the trend of let's not listen to our coaches, let's just go to Jerry. Y'all do know that, right? Deion Sanders started in Dallas because when they had coach Barry Switzer, Barry Switzer, when he came in, I think Barry Switzer was coaching for OU or whatever. Barry Switzer came in, he was trying to change the practice. He was trying to basically say, this is my team, now this is how we're gonna run stuff. Deion said, went to Jerry, said, Jerry, he's trying to make us do this. We don't want to do it. And Jerry came out and said, no, we ain't doing that. So
Ooh.
this is what I
Yeah,
kind
just like
of, and y'all
yeah,
say y'all want to bring the man here. And I love, and I have high respect. I've been following, watching the Colorado Buffaloes. I have so much respect for what Dion is doing and how he's really turned that around.
yeah,
But I'm just saying, like, the whole reason why players skip over their coaches is because of Dion. And so it's like Dion can come here, but another thing is like I feel like Dion is like fools though because it's like, oh, we want Prime, like Prime will come here and he'll change everything. But I'm like, I honestly think Prime will come here, F stuff up, and when I say F stuff up, I mean locker room because Prime and Shadur, even just Prime, like Shadur is really not a real option. But I mean, I guess he could because the Cowboys could draft him, right? If he's there. But
right,
it's like when you talk about Prime, Prime is a you're gonna do what I say or you're gonna shut the F up. Prime is not loyal. Prime does not care anything about as a player, and he wasn't loyal as a player. You know what I'm saying? Like Prime played for like 50 different teams. He paid for whoever give me the money. So
right,
when you talk, y'all act like he retired or Cowboy didn't. So it's like when you talk about Prime and you add somebody in like Shadur Sanders, where to me, those two come here, they would demand everything. And if they didn't get it in a certain amount of years, they would be out on the next train smoking. I feel like there's no concession with them, there's no negotiating with them. And I'm not knocking them for that. It's just who they are personality wise,
right,
where it's like, do what I say. Like people say, oh, he can come here and Shadur can sit behind Dak. Shadur Sanders will not be sitting behind Dak with Deion Sanders as I don't know why y'all think that that's gonna happen and that's a real thing. If
yeah,
y'all think the prime Deion Sanders is gonna come to Dallas and have his son on the bench for Dak, who I've never really even heard Deion say a positive thing about Dak. So he don't like him. Like he doesn't have respect for him or anything like that. And Deion, they disrespect people straight in the media. Like I just feel like if you wanted to bring in Prime and Shadur, you should have blown this thing up this offseason.
yeah,
You should have traded Dak, you should have traded CD, and you should have worked on trading Micah Parsons. And you should have said, we're gonna suck this year on purpose.
right,
We
right,
are tanking for Shadur Sanders. We're gonna ride it out with Trey Lance, see what we got in him. But we're really tanking for Shadur Sanders, and we're gonna start a whole new regime with just Deion's players. Because Dion is not, he don't care about none of these guys. So all of these people, like people that we're invested in, oh, we like this. Dion doesn't care about none of those guys. When they come, and when you see there's such a particular way that Dion does things. I just don't really see. And what's up to JC? What's
yeah,
up to JC? JC is that JC Cowboy? It's a JC.
I think he made a second channel. He said that he does, yeah, specifically for his film session. Yeah, yeah.
What's
Appreciate you, JC.
up? Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Um, he said Jerry Jones fired Jimmy Johnson weeks after winning the second back-to-back. He'll fire Dion within the first. That's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
if Jerry, and I'm not trying to make this about race, but I mean, let's be honest. If Jerry didn't hire his team, his white good old boy teammate that won him 2 Super Bowls, y'all think that he's got higher respect for Deion Sanders than Jimmy Johnson? Y'all think Jerry has more respect for Deion Sanders than Bill Parcells? like y'all need to really just be thinking about what y'all are saying. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
sounds good, just bring Dion, and now we got Michael Irvin, who was just in September saying we needed to sign Dak and he was the heart and soul, but now you're on Colin Cowherd's show saying we need to draft Shadur Sanders so that we can get Deion Sanders. It's like, when is this type of circus stuff gonna stop? And that's why I've really been kind of turned off because I was like, I just don't think it will stop. I think there's always going to be a like the circus.
I don't think so either. I really don't. I mean, as long as I know we talk about the team a lot, but team may not be successful until Jerry's gone. But like you just mentioned, like the everything with the media, like, and I think that was great. And that's why I replied to you earlier this week about, because that was my thought process, because I not I don't watch a lot of college football as enough as this. So when I happen to see the highlights, and I mean I always see like beforehand when playmakers on the field talking to the players, on the sideline. I'm just thinking he's there, and then during the game he's up in the suite. But I'm like, bro, you on the sideline, but like you can't. We don't ever see you. I mean, I know cameras aren't everywhere, but we don't see you in the locker room. We don't see you on our sideline hyping up our guys. You know what I'm
Like,
saying? When I went to the Lions game, I saw him up on the jumbo screen. It's like, okay, so you got a video here, and I was just jokingly, added them saying, hey, we need you in the locker room. But I'm like, yo, then a couple weeks later, I see you on their sidelines, like, but you're never in the Cowboys locker room. But like you said, you're always using the Cowboys name when you, like you said, when you want those clicks, when you want those views, when you all of a sudden have an opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's just
that's what I'm saying. And people try to probably took it as people just have high respect for the 90s. I don't have the emotional connection to the 90s.
right.
That, you know, are people like Boss and Law and everything, because those are they got to see those guys. They grew though, like a lot of those
Yeah,
guys were when they were teenagers and stuff like that. So they have like
yeah.
this
I
super
feel the same
high
way.
respect. And I understand that, and I respect our great to a certain degree, but I just don't see from them. Now, Prime, when it comes to the 88, um, he does stuff with the 88. And I will say, I have seen Prime, I think last year or something, he gave receivers like jackets or something. I think he did something like last year where he gave them jackets or something like that. But I was like, all of these, all of the greats, they want to talk so much and so bad about us.
Yeah,
But do you see Troy Aikman coming to speak to the quarterback? Do you see Emmitt Smith coming and speaking to the running backs or helping develop our young players? No.
right,
Like,
right,
you see them. You don't see them on the sidelines. You don't see them really trying to really make a change. You don't. Half of them, a lot of them are in business with Jerry, so
right.
they don't. They act like they don't even. They talk all about we have culture issues, but they won't say, well, who is the reason why there's a culture issue in Dallas? They won't say it because Jerry pays them. So it's just like
Yeah,
at
and
a
I
point, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, these guys, I feel like if y'all really cared about the Dallas Cowboys winning, y'all would stop running to the media and y'all would actually get in the building and people
right.
help. That's what I.
Right.
That's what I feel.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, and that's kind of why. I mean, that's I don't know, because like I said, I was waiting for that clip to come out of what Turpin quote unquote said. Calvin Watkins. We still haven't seen the video, but as far as Turpin saying, well, Aikman doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not here. Da, da, da. And I 100% agree with him. I mean, even Jake Ferguson said something similar to it effect that week. When his comments came out saying, hey, well, I
Yeah,
just I just believe in the guys around me. You know what I'm saying? So
because these players, they don't try to pour into them. They don't.
right. And they don't even want to spend time with them. They clearly don't have that. If they were in the locker room, they would have that relationship. They would have that, like you mentioned earlier with their relationship with Mike McCarthy. These players, like I mean, like we've seen with CD and Playmaker, right? We've seen their correspondence. How they're around each other. CD lights up when he's around them because Urban has that connection with him. But
Mhm.
I mean, who says that the rest of the team doesn't need that same, kind of motivation, that same kind of, I mean, just being around playmaker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what was, I don't know if it was this past season or last season, but most of the players even spoke about not even knowing, or
They don't
admitting they didn't even know
know
the
these
history
guys.
of the rivalry of 49ers and Cowboys. So
Like they
it
don't know these guys, and like these players to me just don't do anything to really get close to these players.
right,
Constant criticism, and it's like if anybody would have the ear of Jerry Jones, like you know how powerful it would probably be if all the triplets went to Jerry and had like a serious meeting and
period.
like we want to get involved, like maybe we can't be coaches, but maybe we can start helping out in the personnel department. But it's like if you really cared, you would do more to me than just talk to the media and
Right,
give jackets here and now, every now and then.
right,
You know what I'm saying? And I just don't. I don't see those play. I don't see them, and that's why there's a disconnect. Because the current players don't know y'all.
right, right.
They don't know y'all. Like they don't have no connection. Like Michael Parsons, like he's training with Andrew Whitworth, a Rams. He ain't training with Charles Haley or
Right.
any of the other guys that was a part of the '90s teams. Like he's or you know former greats on the O line or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I just feel like they can do. He said there are a lot of old Cowboy fans in the locker room. Nate Newton, Greg Ellis. I mean, yeah, Nate Newton, but
Yeah, and Ellis, they hired him just this year as far as being out, and I mean he's definitely in the locker room now. I mean, and I'll
yeah,
credit that, but
but
we're talking about being there every week. I mean, at least for me, I'm speaking about how Urban Playmaker is there every week for Miami.
every
Every
week
week he on the sideline talking to them players. He's not here every week, or he's not there every week talking to the Cowboys players. I'll say that. Like he may be, like you said earlier, Michael's been in the locker room for the last 7 years. It's not broadcasted, and yeah, he may have a restaurant, but is that for the players' game? I don't mean no harm, but that's for his pockets. That's for his name. It's just called Playmaker 88. It's not called Cal, what I'm saying? Like that's for his name and for his brand and his growing his money. And we're talking about the betterment of these players, these young players who don't even know the legacy of a rivalry as far as
yeah,
with the 49ers. They admitted that. Not knowing the history, so they clear like Star said, they clearly don't. I think they would have a little bit of the reference of that rivalry if Playmaker, if guys like that were in the locker room telling them the history. That's the point we're trying to make.
but it's like there's no, and I know the players have free access to come in there. Like I know Jerry is not banning them.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not saying that I have not seen Charles Haley come and work with the players. I've seen Charles Haley come and work with the players here and there, Greg Ellis,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Pearson,
Pierce.
Pearson he's been super disrespectful to current players. I don't know what you're talking about that. And
Yeah.
Nate Newton is there, but and what's up, a splendid Poppy? Glad to see you.
Yeah. What's good, Splenda? How you doing?
Nate Newton, they don't really go in the locker room like that. Like they don't really
Yeah.
get press and talk to the players and stuff. Like they don't really talk to them like that. They observe.
Yeah, yeah, they be. Yeah, I was gonna say they be at the training camp, and and Nate Newton is on the podcast, week to week. But yeah, he's not. Yeah,
Listen,
what's good, David?
I don't know if I shouted out my guy Rico, but shout out to my guy Rico as
Yeah,
well.
facts. Rico in the building. Yes.
You, what's your point? I know you're just giving, your thoughts stuff like that. You're probably an older Cowboys fan, so you probably feel like we may be disrespecting the triplets a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and we don't mean any harm. Yeah,
Disrespectful. We just telling things how we see it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and maybe I mean, like I said, like I said earlier, like I don't know what the players are thinking, and I'm not trying to speak for any players. I'm just maybe we can kind of give. I mean, we are young, like Star said, me too. I didn't really witness any, the wins in the '90s, so it's like maybe we can kind of get that perspective. Maybe with some of these younger players, maybe like I said, maybe they want to feel that attachment to Playmaker to Aikman if they're making those comments. But I mean, maybe people kind of wanted to shut down what Turpin, quote unquote said, what the quote came out that's quote unquote said he said. But if like I said, on film, Ferguson even himself said that they're not around in the locker room. So it's like they don't have that connection with and maybe they don't. I don't say they don't understand the importance, but even Mike McCarthy said he spoke to the point of not putting that much pressure on these current players as far as what the team did in the '90s. He wanted these players themselves to have kind of a fresh slate, if you will, as far as not having that pressure of trying to stack on top of those, wins in the '90s, those Super Bowls in the '90s, right?
And it could be maybe Mike preferred the distance because he didn't want the players taking on he wanted the players to try to create that. He didn't want the players basically like you're trying to basically ride off of somebody else's coaches. He wanted them to
Right.
focus on himself and trying to be great. So it could be a myriad of things that put into it, but it's like, what's up, Carl? But it's like to
Hey,
me,
Carl.
you
And
could
Lee
just
Harrison too on the Facebook group. Appreciate you.
right. You could just definitely just do things outside. Like maybe Mike says, "Yeah, I don't want you on the sidelines, but why not take the wide receivers out to lunch?" Something. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how Brady meets with players and he just talks to them. He just talks to them and mentors them. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be on the sidelines or anything like that. But like I don't see I don't see a Dak and Troy have a pretty decent relationship from what it seems, but I don't see them as close.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just I just feel like Emmitt Smith, he does love Zeke, but I mean, he really didn't try to. Emmitt show don't be coming around like that. Now,
Yeah. I don't even. I really see him in the building like that. Honestly.
I'm like the playmaker. I'll give you that. I'll give you Charles Haley, but I don't really see Emmett at all. And Emmett works with Jerry. They like own like a property business or something else. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I just think that like yeah. But anyway, we can wrap it up because we just been basically freestyling talking about it. There was an injury report
Yeah.
that came out. I think today they did activate Cooks and
Marshawn.
Marshall
Yeah.
practice window. They opened it up. I think it's like 21 day or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
Bland was a full participant today. To answer your question, Lee Harrison.
yeah, yeah. So it's like I think Bland. I don't know. Bland full participated. Cooks was also well. Cooks was limited. There's some other players that were like limited. So
Yeah.
I
Zach.
don't.
I think Zach was a non-participant.
Yeah, he was a do not participate.
Yeah.
Um,
What's up, Double R?
what's up, Double R? Glad to see you. And what's up, Carl?
Yeah.
Glad
Yeah,
to see
and
you
they
on your.
said something popped up with CD's back, or not his back, his foot. I think they said he was dealing with a foot issue now. And that was before we do hop off here. I think we kind of talked about it earlier, but I saw in the thumbnail that you made says about we have guys coming back. We have Micah come back last weekend, and he's kind of to my point. While I'm enjoying players coming back, but my question is, we do have guys coming back like Bland potentially, Cooks, Nealon, who are major pieces who are guys we're kind of looking forward to at the end of the season. So it's kind of like I'll say I'm looking forward to these guys coming back. I hope that they make an impact because at least for me, I would like to see what they can put on the field. Like Bland. I mean, I would I hate that he kind of missed the first half of the season, but want to kind of getting him back. Games. I mean, you can't get these game reps all the time, so you can't get that in the off season. So at least for me, I'm glad to see guys like Micah come back and hopefully Bland in the next couple of weeks and Nealon as well. I mean, he's a rookie. He could for sure use these game time reps. My question is, how even though we have guys healthy enough coming back, to answer question in your thumbnail, do you think it's important for these guys to still play in these games?
Yeah, I think that especially now the older guys, I really don't like Cook coming back. I'm like, for what? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, unless for him personally, he may have incentives or something. But I just feel like you're for sure gone. Like, we're not gonna resign you.
right.
So I don't really,
Especially with them going to get Mingo. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That thing, yeah,
I don't really see why Cook would come back. But I think he just wants to come back, probably just to play, get some stats, get some extra money, and see if maybe he can play decent enough to where he can get on a different team
yeah,
next year. But when you have Marshawn Nealon, 100%, I think he should come back. Uh, because obviously he's a rookie, he needs the experience. I think as well. When you look at Deron Bland, like I think Deron should come back just to like get a head start because he's been out all year. So I
yeah,
feel like you wouldn't want to wait on him all the way till next year to kind of like test that foot out.
yeah.
But like guys like Chumi Doga, this is like, why would he be coming back? Because it looks like Jake Ferguson, he didn't participate because he's got a concussion. So
Right.
Ferguson's probably gonna miss another game.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And
do have. And I did see also that Jay Lou. He said he should be coming back this week too. So that's. I mean, I love seeing Jay Lou play. He definitely plays like, especially against Washington. I like to see
I'm
him play.
getting McComu, and I know Jay Lou on the field isn't one of
Right. Yeah.
But
And that's that. Now look at it on the other side. You know, guys like CD. I mean, I know he'll be back next year, but and J. Lou he'll be back. You know what I'm saying? But you know, guys like Martin. You know, guys who are veterans. You know, on this team. Do you think you know? Like I mean, we talked about kneeling. Like you said, Cooks is going to be gone. Martin is probably he has a setup as kind of alluding to his last year. Like, should these guys play? In your opinion, should these guys play? You know,
I
if
I don't really think so. I feel like Martin definitely needs to hang it up for the season. I just feel like at this point he's just too hurt to go. And it's like I understand you trying to push it when you thought like we still had a chance, but it's like, bro, we
yeah,
don't really have a chance, bro. Like we're organically tanking,
yeah,
so you just need to hang it up. And I know he don't want to hang it up, but it's like Zach, you cannot play, and you are Zach Martin is looking really, really, really bad. And
yeah,
I think he's already was regressing, but he's just hurt. Like you can't play no more, dude. Like, and I'm not saying this
and
has
it's
to
too
go
many.
last year. I don't know. Maybe you get healthy and you can play another year. But I'm saying for
Yeah,
this year, you need to hang it up. You need to hang it up, and they
yeah,
need to let Bass and Hoffman get these whoever they're gonna put in
facts,
there. They need to let them
facts.
get the reps. Let them get the reps because you need to evaluate them and see, okay, do we need to just go ahead and draft your replacement, or
Right.
do we feel like Bass or Hoffman can make it work? I don't know. We just have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Um, it looked like Tyler Smith did not. So we likely this game versus the Commanders, you're gonna be without Tyler Smith because he did not participate. You're
Ooh, I
likely,
didn't see that.
yeah, he has an ankle knee injury.
What
Zach
about Guyton? Did I mention Guyton?
Guyton was a full participant, so he'll likely be playing. But
Okay.
who did not participate today was Nick Vigil. He hasn't participated in weeks. I'm like,
I am wondering, and like you mentioned, Chumi Doka. Like I'm just wondering why some of these guys like are on the 53 man
yeah,
roster,
I'm like,
bro.
just put Nick Vigil back on, cut him and put him on, either put him on IR, just cut him. Like
And he still be on special teams. I'm like, bro, like so he just out there for special teams body, like literally. Come on.
he's been out for weeks. But it looks like you're probably going to be without Tyler Smith because Tyler Smith did not participate today. Zach Martin did not participate. Hunter Lupke did not participate. And
Facts.
then
And
Jake
Ferguson, like you mentioned earlier.
did not participate. So you're probably looking at missing Zach Martin and Tyler Smith on Sunday.
Man,
That's what you're
man.
probably looking at. And I don't think Cooks and Bland are coming back this game.
Not this. Yeah,
I think probably for Thanksgiving though, they'll be back. And
yeah,
Berg is probably going to miss this game as well because usually percussion protocol you got to sit out a week.
yeah.
So
At least.
he's probably going to miss this game. Well, he's probably going to miss this game.
Yeah,
And Nealon was limited and J. Lou was limited, but I still don't think they're going to even bring. They just opened up their window, so I don't think they're going to come back right now.
yeah.
Probably shoot for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And shout out to Mr. Vallejos who came in at the very last minute on the Twitter end. So shout out to you supporting through Star. Yeah, supporting through Star Twitter. Yeah, shout out to you, fam.
Exactly. I said that. Free agency, we need to be looking at we gotta stop like when you look at teams like the Chiefs or the Bengals, even though it hasn't really worked out, but when
Yeah,
you look at these teams with these franchise quarterbacks, um in Philly and stuff like that, like
yeah,
they don't
yeah.
rely on just rookies. They be going out and buying O linemen. Like
Facts.
they don't allow their quarterback. This is the problem that I have with that stuff. People want to say, "Oh, Dak injury prone." I'm like, not really. Like Dak just keeps getting hit.
Right.
How much?
That's
Like y'all forget last year, Aiden Hutchinson did a drop hit tackle on Dak twice. It should have snapped his leg in half, but it didn't. So I don't
yeah.
think it's injury prone. I just think that when you allow your quarterback to keep getting hit over and over again, like
Right.
it's inevitable that he's likely to get hurt.
Yeah, and we saw that common in there, denominator amongst all of our quarterbacks this season. Trey Lance running for his life in preseason, and now we're seeing Cooper Rush run for his life. I mean, he's dirting the ball as soon as anybody is in space.
And then when you have people like Zach Martin and stuff whipping on tackles, like how many times do we see Dak by big ass Dexter Lawrence get decked? Dexter Lawrence is the biggest defensive
Right.
in the league.
Right.
How much?
Shoot, the first play in the Cleveland game, he got sacked. Our first possession against Cleveland, he was sacked.
And it's like these guys are coming at them full force. Like
Right.
y'all think that
Right.
y'all think a quarterback is going to keep taking hit, hit, and then he's
Right.
like that's not how it works. Like I saw the Chiefs, they drafted a rookie tackle. I think it was like in the first or second round. They let him start. He gave up one sack, and they said, "You're heading to the." Like we just can't afford for our franchise quarterback to keep getting hit over and over and over and over
Thanks.
and over again. And it's like with that, I think this injury though really came from you're not really you're coming from a place where Dak you haven't put there's like no mobility or flexibility in his leg.
Yeah.
And that just comes from you just you just adding muscle because like Dak looked like a tank this year. I'm like, dang, he looks huge.
Yeah.
And when you have that, when you have all that muscle but no flexibility, like when you look at Patrick Mahomes' lower body. Like everybody's like, Patrick Mahomes, he be moving. I'm like, bro, because he got dad legs and flexibility. Because
Right. Right.
he probably be doing yoga
Yeah.
and
Stretching. Right. Right.
calisthenics and all of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's not. But Dak's legs was like two big ass boulders on his legs. Like that's how big this man's
Yeah.
legs were. Like
In that particular game, he put it in overdrive because the first run he
right,
made was what, over 10 yards, I think, or almost close to 10 yards.
he put in the overdrive. Dak still to this day has the longest run of our season. He ran for like 25 plus yards.
Right. Right. Right.
It's the stress on your quad like that,
Yeah.
your hamstring. So pretty much like that's really what happened. Like if you don't, that's why I was like Dak. He got to work. He has to just tone down his leg muscle and just work on flexibility, and that won't
Yeah.
happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think with Dak it's like his body is breaking down because I'm like Dak only missed 2 seasons. He's only missed 1 season fully, and then he's missed 2 seasons that are half a season, and one was
Yeah.
just because of a stupid finger injury where Tyler Smith, who was
Right.
tackle, who didn't
Exactly.
tackle all off season, was thrown out there and allowed Dak to get mauled.
Yep.
His finger broke. Like, what can you do about it? Does that mean I'm injury prone? And
Right.
then and then this injury where his freaking quad ripped off of his hamstring.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Because
it's like Dak wouldn't have been having to scramble and stuff like that if one, you had weapons that could get open, or two, you had a O line that could block, or three, you had a coach that believed in the run. Because in that game, Rico was averaging 2.5 yards per carry, but
Thanks.
what was Mike McCarthy doing? Passing all over the field. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
Exactly.
if you have better competency, like your quarterback from a personnel standpoint and just from a play calling standpoint, your quarterback wouldn't be getting hurt. Like Romo, people like Romo's body didn't just break down. Romo didn't have an O line for years, so he just kept getting slammed on his back over and over and over and over again till his back was like, I can't take any more hits.
Right. Right.
So
Literally.
we're talking about like protect your quarterback better, and then you wouldn't have these problems. Like
Right.
protect Dak also needs to, like I said, work on his flexibility, but it's like protect your franchise $60 million a year quarterback better, and you wouldn't have to worry about injury. So to that comment, yes, we do need to be looking to free agency to get O linemen. I'm tired of O linemen. No, we need to be drafting weapons and build your O line through the free agency like the rest of these teams.
That's a huge point, Star, because just this past Sunday, well, this past week, Rico Dowdle was on Cowboys Hour, right? And this is the last point here. Brad Sham is one of the hosts on there, and he actually, he didn't joke about it, but he said kind of like, hey, like in this past week, we had Guyton. Tyler Smith went down for a little bit. As we seen Zach go down, he was like, look, he mentioned Waletzko, which I'm just like, I don't even want to get there, but he said Waletzko wasn't dressed out. Who was going to be the next guy to step in if somebody else had got, knock on wood, unfortunately something happened. So it's
Y'all
just
just
like,
had no exactly, sis.
where's
All
the
right.
depth at? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, oh,
Depth. So it's like you was forced to play Terrence Steele. You didn't have
of
nobody
course.
Try him back.
Worst. Because the question we had during the offseason, who's going to be the backup right tackle, right? We even had questions about where Austin Richards, before we seen him at left tackle, where Austin Richards was going to be at, where Nathan Thomas was going to be at, because we didn't hear their names even coming out of training camp. So it's just like, where you had these guys situated. We already knew about TJ Bass. We already knew about Hoffman, but it's like even they were competing at the center position. But it's like you have so much of this musical chair. It's like, yeah, these guys have chemistry, but what, like 5-6 sets of chemistry, but then when you don't know who's going to go down in the game. Knock wood, hopefully no one does, but
Like you put yourself in a position where you were forced, and then it's like it's not helping that Zach Martin is hurt and regressed because a lot of the big hits Dak took was because of Zach Martin.
exactly. And Carl, we're not no, we can actually in the chat, bro. I mean, we definitely understand that the point, and a lot of people be blaming Jerry and Stephen Jones about what's been going on this offseason, and finally we actually seen Jerry Jones take some. I'm not gonna say all, because he definitely needs to take more, but he's taking some responsibility here and there, saying some of the things that you see on the
Yeah, no,
field.
don't stay out of the chat. We love your comment, Carl. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Jerry and Steven. That's what I'm saying. If Jerry and Steven stop this nonsense, and we'll just draft the old lineman. First of all, and the thing
right,
about Jerry and Steven, you don't want to draft guys who are not raw. Like you keep wanting to draft raw prospects that have to get elite
right.
from just from what April to September. Like it's
And
dumb.
and
Like
not only that, sis, but to also switch to a position is that you never played before, or a
right,
position that you play on the opposite
right.
side of the line, and then go against a first place schedule. But yeah, come on, Rook. Come on, Rook.
It's like it don't make sense. Like y'all not even going in the draft and saying I'm going to get the most pro ready guy. Yes, he may not theoretically have the ceiling of this guy, but I need a guy that I know can keep my quarterback upright. I need my guy that can
Right,
block right now. But y'all want
right,
to keep getting these damn projects.
right. Exactly.
Tyler Guyton's gonna be great. He's already getting better. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, bruh, he getting better at the expense of your quarterback getting his head.
Facts, and you're not, and they're sending him help, and you can't send him help on every play. So it's like those
It's
plays that
a,
he whiffs, like
bro, we gave you money, you getting your ass beat. It's like, bro, we couldn't do anything because we had nobody to replace him.
right, right,
So it was like,
right, man.
it's just ridiculous, bro.
It's,
But
it's
anyway,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, it's like Star was saying to Carl, and really everybody that came through, Rico, Hunter Grand, Nisi as well coming through, Kelvin Hicks,
y'all
JBB boy, yeah, everybody that always comes through and shows the support. We really appreciate everybody spending your time with us this evening. We actually did some pretty, like you said, we were just pretty much freestyling, but we had some good content for you guys. And a lot of people in the building, interacting and just really just being with us this
got
afternoon.
yeah,
Like even on the down season, you guys still showing support. Make sure, I know we didn't mention in the beginning, but make sure you do hit that like button. It looks like you guys have. I mean, or else wouldn't have this big of a crowd. But hit the like button, hit that share button if you haven't yet, and hit subscribe too if you
right.
haven't subscribed.
Donate to our cash apps.
Yes, please,
We
please.
understand everybody. It's a hard season for us guys, but I
Yeah,
think next year, because this season was so low, like Jerry and them will do. They gonna have to sell hope in. Now, is it gonna be through Deion Sanders? No, sorry guys. Like that's just
yeah.
not. It's just not happening. You know what I'm saying? But it's fun. They gonna talk about that shit till we hire a new kid.
Right. Facts.
They're gonna keep talking about it. They're gonna keep trying to say, oh, this and that and blah blah blah. But it's just like realistically, like Prime could come here, but they're saying he's only gonna come here if we draft him. So I just think that Prime is not what this team is. I know people think it is, but I'm like, no. In an organization where Prime has a clean slate and can run the show, and he didn't have all these debts that we've committed to contractually,
It,
yeah,
it would be it would be the like what perfect. I ain't gonna say perfect, but
be good. I literally said this, like, and I want people to know, like, before we get over here, this is nothing personal against Prime and Shadur. I
right,
think Shadur is a good young prospect. I don't think he's generational or anything, but I think he's a good young prospect. I would be in on or really intrigued with the idea. If we didn't sign Dak, like say we traded Dak
right.
and we traded CD and stuff like that, and we're going in on Shadur and Prime, I would be
Yeah.
like, okay, let's do it. But we can't, with the current team dynamic, bring those two here. It would ruin everything. I know it would ruin everything. We just can't financially, locker room, spiritual, everything. It just would not work out, and it would be a complete disaster. That I think would set our team back 5, 6, 7, 8, almost a decade. That's what I
Yeah.
think. You know what I'm saying? Before we
Yeah.
could realistically get to a place where we're going to the playoffs every year like we were before, where we were true contenders. So I just think that at this point, I'm team Bill Belichick. I know people like we don't want his old ass. We want a young coach. We want this. But I'm like, I want Bill Belichick because I feel like Bill Belichick is the only coach where Jerry can't fling his weight around on Bill Belichick because I have 6 rings, you have 3. So it's
Right.
like that's the thing. You bring a young coach here. That's what I'm with that. Tank for Travis. I want. But it's like you bring a young coach here. It's gonna be just like Kellen Moore. They're gonna be controlled because they don't have anything. They don't have any. Listen, if Mike McCarthy was controlled and this man got a Super Bowl, you think Ben Johnson about to come here? Even let's say they win the Super Bowl this year. Let's say the Lions win. I think the Lions have a really strong chance to win the Super Bowl this year. I
Yeah.
would not be surprised at
Right.
all if the Lions win the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
let's say you bring Ben Johnson here. You win the sweepstakes. He's still gonna be controlled. If Mike McCarthy, with his tenure and his experience, and he done developed this quarterback and that quarterback, you think Ben Johnson gonna come here and tell Jerry what to do?
Right.
No. Bobby Slowick, they gonna come here and tell Jerry what to do? Come on, guys. Like, I'm sorry, we're just in a unique situation where we need somebody where Jerry is cannot easily control. So just think about that. When you talk about your next head coach, and if we get anybody that Jerry can easily control,
Yeah. It won't it won't look great. Yeah. But yeah, we appreciate everybody joining us. Looking forward to this Washington game, rival game this week.
I like Mike Vrabel, but
Yeah.
I feel like he can also be controlled. I maybe bring Mike Vrabel in, maybe bring Bill Belichick, head coach, Mike Vrabel, DC,
That's what I wanted
bring
this
Mike
past
Vrabel
season.
to DC to kind of like develop under Bill, because Bill realistically is not going to coach. I don't think Bill's going to coach quarter. Well, I don't know, but I think Bill probably wants to coach maybe like 2 more years and then get out. So
Yeah.
your idea would be like hire Bill, get Vrabel in here to basically be the head coach heir, and make sure don't bring Josh McDaniels in here, and find us somebody who's innovative and creative as an offensive coordinator. That's what I would do. That's my plan. I'm all in on Bill Belichick coming here because I feel like he's just the only one. I don't think anybody else will work here. I don't think it will work. I think Jerry will control them. And we're gonna be asking questions. Didn't Ben Johnson run the ball with the Lions? Why ain't he running? We're gonna start asking the same like the stuff like, and we gonna stuff is weird. Why he calling play white? It's because he's controlled, guys.
Right.
You gotta bring somebody here that Jerry's like, I have high respect for you more than anybody, and that's only Bill. There's only one Bill Belichick. I'm sorry, there's only one. There will only be one. So
Right. Right. And even so, even hear some of his comments the other day during the game, and I mean, like you said, he could be a fit. Tell these guys what they need to do, what they need to
he here,
improve on.
personnel. He literally was defending CeeDee Lamb. He was like Troy Aikman talking about CeeDee Lamb's route. CeeDee Lamb looks good at it. CeeDee Lamb was running good routes out there. Like
Exactly.
Bill Belichick wants to be our head coach. I'm like, why not bring a guy here that wants to coach our players? I don't want to bring. We invested too much money into Dak and CD to bring a coach here that's like, I like him. I want this guy. I want my guy. I want this. I don't want that. I want somebody like, listen, I want these two. I want to coach these two. I want to win a Super Bowl with these.
Yeah, yeah. We talked and we heard Belichick's even when we played the Patriots the last time. We heard Belichick's comments about he's able to break down the team pretty much to a T. Like you said, not saying he was like a coach, but you can only break down the team that you're either like you say that you're familiar with, that you play twice a year, which we don't play the Patriots, that often, or a team that you actually sit down, take the time to watch them, watch the quarterback's mannerisms, the wide receiver one mannerisms, and learn and study them. So to Star's point, I'm saying, like Bill Belichick has not, and we don't. I mean, how often do we face the Patriots like that? We were only like what the first team to beat the Patriots, to really beat Belichick with that bad when we played them. So we obviously don't play them that much. So I think it says a lot, even at that moment when Belichick was able to say all that. And to Star's point, even now when he's still speaking about how he can, he didn't say it, but how he can improve this team, what these guys need to work on, but also like she said, what they do well. You know what I'm saying? What they can improve upon as well from the outside. So just imagine if you, like you said, if you bring somebody like Bill Belichick in, who has, like you said, the six Super Bowl rings. Someone who,
He
like,
had 8 Super Bowls and 6 as a head coach. Like you gotta.
right.
We
And you
talk.
kind of get, and
And
like you said, to your point, you kind of get 2 for 1, right? Because he doesn't necessarily have to coach the defense, but he'll be the head coach overall. And like you said, bring in someone who's familiar with him, and then someone who knows what they're doing as far as coaching the defense. So you kind of get like a two for, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I know, well, he's a dinosaur. We don't want Bill and we want Prime, but I'm like, and honestly, I'm not with
You
Jason Witten.
said,
A lot of people are out on this one, but I'm like, I feel like with Jason Witten, I don't know. I feel like it could possibly work. I'm only saying that because from what I've heard about Jason Witten, he was the toughest guy on our team. He was no nonsense. He didn't put up with BS from Jerry or from any of the players. He was like the locker room leader. He was the guy that told Romo, "I'm sorry, Romo, but this is Zach's team now. Like
right.
you need to step down." So like, I feel like it could.
And that's one of the Romo's guys saying
That's
that to
my feeling,
him.
and I think it could possibly work. But I do know people are scared because they're like, that is a Jerry. They feel like Witten is Jerry's son, and he
Yeah.
wants control. And the only reason I'm like,
Yeah.
but I feel like with Witten, he wasn't control when you was here, but
Yeah,
would
he
you allow them to control you as a head coach? I don't know. That's what
right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm with you on that because I feel the same way about necessarily being Jerry's guy, but at the same time, like you said, I loved his toughness when he was here. Like you said, his locker room. I say presence. You know, what I'm saying I don't know. I'm not gonna say he wasn't a leader, but like I said, I wasn't paying attention that long to football to know whether he had that impact on the guys in the locker room. But I mean, clearly he's respected. Like I mean, I don't say he's like Sean Lee, but like how a Sean Lee is respected in that regard, I do believe that Jason Witten
Real
is
high,
respected. Yeah, you
high
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
respect, and so it would be interesting with Jason Witten. I'm not completely out, but my number one candidate would be Bill Belichick. And yeah, I mean, at this point with our pick, we won't 4, 5, or 6, but with all
That seems like reaching,
yeah, I like
but
these guys back. I feel like we're just gonna be top 10. I don't think we're
yeah,
gonna. I don't think we're gonna get that high, guys. Just be honest.
yeah,
It'd
yeah,
be great, but I just don't think that. I think we'll probably realistically finish at probably 8. Probably pick 8 or pick 9. I
yeah.
think it's gonna be more
And
realistic.
maybe being lucky, maybe like 7. I mean, that's what my lucky number. So
7,
maybe 7.
yeah, but I'm like 4, like top 5.
That's being yeah.
I don't
That's gonna
see.
be like Giants territory, like yeah. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? You
I don't
know
think
what?
top.
Giants, maybe Saints. I mean, because the Saints, I don't think they, maybe they won. I think one game, but I think they're still only won like 3 games, right? So they may be around,
Yeah,
that territory. You know what I mean? So like you said, maybe 7, but yeah, I would think 8 or 9 too.
10, definitely top 10, but top 5. I don't really see that. I don't really,
Yeah, and shout out to Keystone too, cause sliding in at the buzzer too. Appreciate you, fam.
yeah, I think. Okay, but anyway, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Y'all have been great. I'm gonna hop off
Yes.
so I can eat dinner. But really love you guys. I really appreciate you guys, new guys that came in the chat. We really appreciate y'all. We appreciate
Yeah.
all of y'all's comments. Shout out to Keystone. I know you late. You're going to have to watch the replay, but shout out to Keystone and everybody here's in the chat. Really appreciate y'all, and y'all have a good night.
Yeah. Love you guys. See you guys next time.